So welcome everyone to the ABPCO Awards Showcase webinar. This session is being recorded to share on our YouTube channel. We've got 3 of our 2025 award winners with us today to showcase their winning entries and answer any questions you have. But before we get started, I just want to say a few words about this year's ABPCO Awards. We are open for entries and the entry deadline is Friday the 7th of August. The ABPCO Awards are free to enter and open to both members and non-members. So do check out the website, which is abpco.org/awards. This year's award winners will be announced at our awards event on the 10th and the 11th of December at the ICC Belfast. So hopefully we'll see plenty of ABPCO members there. And today we've got 3 guest speakers. They are Sarah Byrne from Mosaic Events, winner of the 2025 Best Association Events Team Award. Nicole Leader from MCI, winner of the 2025 Best International Conference Award. And Hema Rodriguez from TFI Lodestar, winner of the 2025 Best Event by an Agency PCO Award. So without further ado, we'll get started. And I'm going to hand over to Sarah from Mosaic Events.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. Let me just get the presentation loaded. Hopefully everybody can see that. Fingers crossed. Yeah, is it all good?
Yeah.
Fingers crossed. Yeah. Great, perfect. Well, thank you so much for inviting me to speak today. I want to start by saying just how delighted we were to win the ABPCO Best Association Events Team Award. It was a really big deal for us to win it, actually, because we are such a small team, and I'm going to tell you a little bit more about the team in a moment. But I would just say that anybody watching this or that's on the call just now, if you're thinking about entering for an ABPCO award, I would say please do. It made such a difference to us, particularly winning the Association Events Team Award within the team. It was a real booster of morale for the team, and of course it's been fantastic for us in terms of our PR, using it on socials, within quotes, all of that. So I would absolutely, if you're thinking about applying, please do just go for it. It's a really great thing to get. So thank you to ABPCO.
So before we go any further, your view, we can see your slides, but we can see the slide set, if you like, rather than the main slide.
Oh, okay, that's interesting.
Change your view.
Why has it done that? Let me just go to here then. Sorry, I beg your pardon. Here we go. That's why. I think hopefully, are we good now? Can you see it now?
Nothing has changed on my screen. We can still see it, but we can just see the other slides as well. That was all.
Okie dokie. Let me just try. I think that it's the joys of PowerPoint, isn't it? I might just, do you know what? I might just forget it. I might just talk. Let's just see if it works on this front. Try this. Can you see it in that way?
We can still see it. It's there. We can see your other slides as well, but that's fine.
When you press to slideshare, did you get the option, Sarah, to either share this screen or the one in presentation mode? Did it say?
I don't know if it did, actually. Thank you for that.
It's all right. Zoom producer over here, so I just thought I'd chip in.
How does this work? Does this work any better?
If you press stop, there you go. Yeah,
I'm in.
You got it.
Sorry. Thank you so much. You can tell I don't run many virtual events anymore, can't you? Oh, thank you so much, Rachel, for that. Thank you. Okay, so I'll start by saying, telling you a little bit about Mosaic Events for those of you that don't know. I started Mosaic Events 23 years ago, and we started organising events for everybody and quickly realised that actually that wasn't the best thing to do and that we should have a niche. And so we focused on the association market predominantly. We do still do a little bit of corporate, but not much. So we are a team who is fully remote. We became fully remote after COVID. So we had an office before then, and we said to everyone, do you want to go back in the office? They were like, absolutely not. We love working at home. So we stayed remote. So there are 6 of us. 5 of which are based in and around York, and the other person is based in Worcestershire. So there's 2 parts of our business. There is the event side of the business where we organise conferences and events and exhibitions for our clients, and then we have the other side of the business, which is our membership side. So we have retainers with 3 associations where we manage their secretariat and membership, which is actually great. It's been a great business model for us because, as you can imagine, during COVID, it was a great still that we had some income coming in when the events dropped off. So that was really good for us. So our clients are predominantly academic and also medical. We have actually got quite a few clients that have been with us for more than 10 years, which is amazing. So like I say, we are a small but perfectly formed team. I'll be honest, it's been done intentionally by myself as to why we've never been a much bigger team. I feel that kind of a team between the size of what we are and maybe just under 10 keeps it a little bit personable and kind of allows us all to understand each other's events and be connected. So that, like I say, is something that I've kept in that situation. So the why behind the team, I think it's really important to say that every year we as a team collectively look at our client list, and we look at it for 2 reasons. So we first of all look at who we love working with, what represents a great partnership, and where we're really valued by our clients. And we also, of course, look at the profitability of a client. And as anybody knows who works in events, it's as an agency, certainly profitability is everything. And sometimes there are some things out of your control that you can't, plan for, and therefore end up making a job less profitable. So we look at all of those things. But I think what's key here is that we do it as a team. It's not me that does it. It's collectively done. So if somebody is working with a client that it isn't working for them, we will walk away from clients, and we do regularly. And I think we are, because we're 23 years down the line, we are in a fortunate position where we are able to do that. So I think that's the foundation. I think that's one of the secrets as to why the team are so happy within their work, because we involve them in that process. So I want to talk a little bit about remote working, and I'm hoping that some of the things that we do, of course, are not new, but I just want to kind of make the point as to why we are a successful team when we are working remotely, which is just that little bit harder sometimes. So I want to start by saying I spend a lot of time, of my personal time, but also financial on this, on making sure the team are happy and are feeling connected, and I think that's really important. So we start by having annual performance development plans, and they are set at the end of our financial year at the same time that we set our company objectives. So they are company objectives and personal objectives, and that is what the individual in the team will work towards over the following year. So we look at obviously annual appraisals, we have half-yearly reviews, and then we also have bi-monthly one-to-ones as well, and that works really well for us. We at the end of the year look at individuals in terms of their salaries and also the bonus, and the bonus is worked into the objectives, so that works really, really well. We do a lot of training. For a small team, I'm really proud actually of the training that we do, and we do prioritise that. So we have online training models which are often led by other members of the team. We show each other things and share knowledge. We have a weekly meeting on a Monday, and that's a great opportunity for the team to connect. But also we don't just look at client work. We also do something in it called show and tell, which is basically in the last week, if you've learned something which has been really useful, like for example we use Cvent, it might be that you've just learned something on Cvent that you want to share with the rest of the team. So it's that kind of bite-sized training which works really well. We do things like we look at solving solutions for the team. So, it might be that someone's got a complex registration build and they want some input from the rest of the team on that, and we'll table that on the agenda on the weekly meetings. So we obviously have Teams chat and things, but we also, on those meetings, if we've had an event the previous week, we will actually debrief the whole team, and we get a lot from that because we learn from each other. So, it might be that, for example, something has gone wrong within a particular event. We share that story and we'll look at how we can mitigate that from happening going forward. So we find that time is really, really helpful. We have 2 away days a year. The whole team gets together, and we focus on building those days around the objectives that we have identified as a team we need to look at. So the one we did in May was focused around us as a team, actually, and how effective we are. So we worked with a company professional, they do leadership and people development, and we did a lot of work around our values independently, looking at our values as a company, looking at data profiling, looking at what's important to team members, and really spending time on looking at how we can be more effective. And we do that regularly. And I think that, again, is important to kind of take a step back and really look at where you're at and where you can improve. We also have lots of other social events. We meet each other once a month. We have lunch and coffee and things together. And I think that's really important. And of course, we see each other alongside events, but we do have social time calendared. At the end of the day, if you work in an office, you're always going to have kind of those social conversations that go on. So, it's really important to make sure that the team are still able to have those social connections with each other. So that's kind of how we manage the remote team. One of the things I wanted to just bring up, of course, as part of the application process is picking out the 3 kind of learning points as a team. For us, one of the biggest, and of course, everybody on this call will feel exactly the same here, is around AI and how we use AI as a team, and how we use technology as a team. And we are working really hard on this, actually. I'd say in the last year, we started with using it for, please make this email sound better, or all of those kind of more simple tasks. And we've got to the stage now where we're really trying to integrate it within our business to do things like generate project plans, generate quotations, generate documentation that's really like admin heavy around events, that takes loads of time usually, that we really don't need to spend doing anymore, which then gives us kind of frees up time for us to use more strategically and think and plan a little bit more, perhaps thinking about how we can add value to client events. So I think for us, that's AI is an exciting thing. We use Claude, and we are trying to, like I say, use it better, use the features within it, such as projects, artifacts, and if people use it, they'll know what I'm talking about. We're kind of getting there. We're in phase 1, I would call it. I would say we've got a little way to go before we make some real headway in terms of automation of perhaps emails. And of course, we've also got to think about the security that is around that as well, which we are really mindful of. So that's exciting. Learning point 2, I would say that we definitely review our tools every year. So we are really committed to taking a step back and going, do you know what, we've used Cvent now. I've used Cvent, we used it for 14 years. And every year we go, is Cvent the right thing for us to still be using? We only sign a 1-year contract with them. We'll never sign any longer than that. We want the flexibility. We pay a bit more to give us that flexibility to get out. If something better comes along, then we want to be using that. So I think for us, that's really important. And I've touched upon this already. It's really important, like I said, particularly as a remote team, to really focus on understanding each other and what people's, working styles are, making sure, in any organisation, there's so many different personalities, and it's about understanding each other and really understanding how individuals work and how they like to work. There's a couple of people in our team who are more analytical than others. And so, it's a way how you present information or how we work together. We kind of have to adapt our styles to make that work. So I think that's great. That works for us. So takeaways for you, I would say, first of all, if you are in a position to be able to be selective, work with the people that you love. Don't be afraid to walk away from those that perhaps are not a good fit. I would say most definitely always invest in connection. Even if you work in an office together, I think that it's really important to nurture your team and really think about how effective you are. And finally, keep reviewing. You know, one of the things we do really well, I think, and I hope is one of the reasons we won the award, one of the main reasons is because we demonstrated for a small team that we really do take time to take a step back and always think, how can we do this better? And that is, I suppose, the fundamental for us in terms of everything that we do. So yeah, I'm really happy to answer any questions if anyone's got any. That's me.
Thank you, Sarah. Very much appreciated. Let me start off with a question then. So if somebody was sitting watching this live or watching on YouTube and thinking, I'm not sure a company like us have the time or are quite right to, we'd never win an ABPCO award. What would you say to them?
I'd say you've got to try because, you know, look at us. We're a team of 6. We're a small company. We were up against, you know, some amazing companies. And, you know, I didn't honestly think we would win. I'll be honest, I didn't. And we did. And, you know, and I think that at the end of the day, everybody has a way of working. Everyone has their story and their things that they do. And I think it's really a great opportunity to showcase those. And, you know, like I say, for us, obviously winning the team award was so great for our team. We'd had a hard year last year. It was a busy year for us, so it came really well at the end of the year and gave us all that great boost.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the things with awards, isn't it? Yes, there's the kudos of winning that you can use for commercial gain, if you like, in terms of the marketing and the PR that comes with that, but also that sense of reward for the employees.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, it meant a lot to them. It really did. And, you know, ABPCO is such a, you know, a well-known, credible organisation in our world. And I think, you know, to be recognised by ABPCO, that was really special for us.
Great, thank you. I'll just pause for a moment in case anybody else has got a question on the live session before we move on.
I had a small question. Sorry.
Hello.
Hi, Sarah. Filled out the form. Well, did you fill it out or did you have like a team meeting where everybody was like filling the questions up together? Like, how did you go through that process?
No, that's a great question. I actually did it collaboratively with one of my other team members who's an ABPCO member. So we did it between us. But yeah, and we didn't use AI. I will tell you that.
Yeah.
Great. Any more questions from the live session? In which case, thank you very much, Sarah. We'll move on to our second guest speaker. And this is our winner of the 2025 Best International Conference Award from MCI, Nicole Leader.
Thank you. Let me share my screen. Oh, again, it's disappeared. Funny how technology doesn't really collaborate when you need it to. Let me try again. All right, it's back on. So hopefully you can see my screen.
Perfect. Yep, absolutely.
Okay,
perfect.
Great. All right, so we are talking about the ESCRS Annual Congress today, and I'll tell you a bit more about it as we go through. So I'll start off with some context. So this was the 42nd Congress of the ESCRS, and ESCRS is an association of about 7,500 members. ESCRS stands for the European Society of Cataract and Refractive Surgeons. So it's basically eye surgeons. They run 2 events, and 2 major events, I should say. They run many more than 2. This is the annual congress, which is the largest, and then there's a smaller one, which internally we call the winter meeting because it happens in winter, and it's about 15,000 to 1,500 to 2,000 people. I'll tell you more about this specific one, which is much larger. We at MCI, we look after the account globally, not just on the PCO side of things, but also as an association management company. Again, for context, we've got about 70 people working on the account, not full time, but many of us work on the account primarily because it's such a big account, and the scale of what they do is so big that it needs a lot of people on it. For the annual congress, this is the scale, so I'm not going to read through all the data that you see on the screen, but again, just to put it into context, this is the largest of the 2 main events that they run. It was in 2024 about 16,000, and we are now working on the London one in September 26, and we are seeing that the numbers are tracking these numbers and potentially being a lot higher. So we'll see when we get to September, but it's a very successful event, and at the moment, in the context of ophthalmology events, it's probably the largest globally. We do have people coming from everywhere in the globe for this event, and depending on where we move with the location, we have higher numbers of people closest to that region, but we see a massive increase, or in the last few years we've seen a really remarkable increase of number of people coming from Asia and Pacific. I've got someone at the door and I'll try to ignore them, but if they persist, I might need to disappear for a minute. Sorry about that. Again, talking about the scale of the event. So this is run across 5 days, and there's 33 parallel rooms running at any one point. So again, as you think through how big it is, that just bear in mind the scale is not only obviously in the number of participants, but also the program is a really big program. On the left-hand side there, you can see some type of sessions that we run during these events. And I'm not gonna dwell on all of them and what it means and what they are, but just a couple of points that I think make this event really well known in the industry, and we really thought that after for attendees to come along is the dry labs and the wet labs. So these are basically set up that are comparable to laboratories that doctors might have in hospitals or in their private clinics, where they can actually operate on pig eyes, or in the dry labs is synthetic eyes. And these are great, especially for those who don't come from countries like the UK, where we've got great facilities within hospitals or research environment, but some of these attendees don't have that, so they come along to the event primarily to try and improve their skills in these settings. So it's really important for them. Today I'm going to speak on 3 main things, and I'll try and be brief, but these I think are the 3 key areas that I wanted you to be aware of and highlight in terms of this submission. With ESCRS, innovation is always hard in a way, because the scale is so big and there's so much going on at any one point, that we need to be very clever about how we innovate and how we can come up with ideas that are different from previous years. One of the things that we introduced in the content side of things is how content is delivered. And these are pictures taken from what we call the arena sessions. And just again, from a logistical perspective, think about the setup as an arena is. So the audience or the stage is in the middle, and you've got the audience all around them. We wanted to introduce some sort of like performance and storytelling to the way in which content is delivered, because often, for those of you who are familiar with scientific events, it can be quite dry and quite boring, especially when there are so many sessions and delegates are exposed to so much content. It becomes harder for them to remember sessions and the content that they learned. So we came up with these ideas of putting a bit of show in within what's allowed in the context of scientific congresses. And this is basically where a debate takes place. So you have speakers on both sides, and you can see here some of the pictures, and they are debating a scientific question. They use no slides, it's just them talking in teams, so a team against the other team. And then for show, we've added this element of location or destination. In this case, we were in Spain, and the theme was flamenco. So you can see that the speakers have got fans, and the lady at the bottom took it quite seriously, and she dressed up for the occasion. And then, you know, depending on how comfortable or not they are with this idea, they might do some moves and stuff, and then the audience engages not only with the content that they are delivering, but even the way in which it's being delivered. Another thing that was introduced in this Congress was the introduction of museums as a concept, and in this specific case, the IOL museum. So back then there was the 75th anniversary of the IOL. IOL stands for intraocular lens. And basically we created and curated a museum whereby people would walk through the idea of going back 75 years and seeing how an intraocular lens was implanted and how patients were operating on back then. So you can see these pictures are not great, that were taken by me, but it really shows you the setup of an operating theatre and a doctor's office back then, 75 years ago. And in the walls around it, we would show pictures of what was happening then, and there was information about how they operated back then, and now the success rates and whatnot. And it's quite remarkable considering how the setup was that they could successfully operate back then. Finally, on innovations, we introduced the mentoring scheme at this Congress, and these are pictures of some of the mentors and mentees that met up then. And the idea was for them to have touch points throughout the 5 days of the event where they could just chat about what they did that day or plan the day in advance, because some of these mentees are quite young and the Congress can be very overwhelming for them because there's so much going on. It's really hard to decide what you might want to do. And this was really appreciated by them because they felt that they were being, I suppose, supported by some more senior doctors to what was the best use of their time at Congress. Moving on to the DEI and sustainability scheme. So this is something that I actually spoke about at one of the ABPCO Festival of Learning sessions about this specific scheme. And it started off at ESCRS more like an environmental sustainability scheme. And then it became much wider and included not only, I suppose, the environmental side of things, but also the human side of sustainability and how doctors can think about their well-being and take care of people who work with them in their teams as well as their patients. So in this specific Congress, a couple of activations that happened. We had the crash and a lactation room. You can see the picture at the bottom there, that allowed especially female doctors to come along with their children and attend sessions that they wouldn't otherwise have been able to attend. There was a scheme around sustainability that was quite, again, a big focus for this Congress. And there's the net zero, I suppose, scheme that is around Congress being net zero, but there's also what doctors are doing in their own individual clinics. And that activation is shown here in the picture on the right, where on the left rather, where at the SCRS stand, we set up this software linked to these cycling spinning bikes, where basically doctors had to input the information about how many surgeries they did in any given period of time, and that would show them how much energy they would need to burn to be able to offset the amount of energy that was produced by the surgeries that they did. And so they had to cycle on these bikes to offset their carbon footprint of their clinics. And again, it was just a way to show them and perhaps think twice about the decision that they make around disposable materials that they might use in clinics, as opposed to other ways in which they can look at sustainability in their clinics. And finally, impact for associations is always quite hard to measure. So on this slide, just for the sake of the presentation, I put some of the quotes that we received by the ESCRS president at the time and other delegates who took part in the Congress then. But we do talk to ESCRS all the time about impact that goes well beyond the one individual Congress. And I think we're starting to see not only how this is coming back in a way in the context of more people attending Congress, but also more people becoming members of ESCRS and more people globally recognizing the name as the main association for eye surgery. And that was it. I'm happy to take any questions. I'll stop sharing so I can see you.
Great. Thank you very much, Nicole. One of the first questions I have to ask all of our award winners is, what did you do to celebrate? How did you celebrate the success?
Honestly, not much, because that was my last day before annual leave. So I was obviously ecstatic and messaged the teams like a mad person during the event. And then that was it. Then I was off on annual leave. But we did pick it up again with the team in the new year. And then we talked about, all our achievement. And we tend to submit quite a lot of different types of awards for ESCRS, but ABPCO is one of those that is recognized by everyone in the team and is obviously a high standard for all of us. So we always try to submit, and we've won quite a few times, so that's a good one.
Do we have any questions on the live webinar? If not, just because it may be of interest, on September the 14th, ABPCO is running a free virtual roundtable for anyone who's interested in finding out more, sharing expertise on organising association events outside the UK. So if you're watching this live or watching this on YouTube and you'd like to join us for a free roundtable, where we just come together, discuss our experience, what worked, what doesn't work about running events outside the UK, because it does bring its own unique set of challenges. Do join us for that. But with that, thank you very much, everyone, and we'll see you again soon on another ABPCO webinar. Thank you, everyone.